Hello. So this is going to be a fun one today. I am driving about 3 hours to the DC airport to take a flight to Paris. That's where I fly out of DC. 1010 recommend if you can learn how to travel light. They have it's not the cheapest tickets, but they're pretty good. So I wanted to go over this because I've just been absorbing all of what's going on. So I've been doing a series on like power moves and power shifts. For those who don't know me, my name is Lisa Phillips. I have another platform of real estate investing where I teach Black investors how to invest in low cost real estate. It's how I'm retired at 42. Oh, thank you. Um, and retired early, and I can fly to France every month, right? So there's like things that go into it. And FYI, I'm gonna do a video on how you can retire early in the next 5 to 10 years. You actually don't need real estate. I could have done this without it. I just had to shift my mindset and kill the ego. So if anybody wants to learn how you can actually live the life of your dreams and whatnot, and do it affordably, and know you don't need to be rich, because let me tell you, there's people with more money who doesn't have the freedom or happiness I have. They just don't. But I'm still doing stuff. So I'm going to do a workshop on that, and I'll post it. But also, I go to Paris each month, and I have Marseille and Paris dates for going Latin dancing and taking Latin classes, salsa, kazamba, tango, and all that. And I'll post a link later on. I'm still finalizing those dates this week while I'm in France. I'm in going to south of France for this trip. So I've been enjoying the shift in power that the Kendrick Lamar just did. So a lot of my power series where I talk about power is because developing my spiritual gifts and abilities, my other senses means that I can see with more than just my eyes, right? I see with all my senses. I see bigger than just the eyes and the physical. You can start, and what that gives you is a lot of power on how to navigate through this matrix and not even be bothered, and in fact get everything you need. So with that being said, when I obtained that ability, I learned about power moves because you have it. You really just cannot see all the power moves happening until you have it yourself. And then I can start seeing America and what they're doing and how they play the game for who and what they are and the moves they're making. And I did one on power, like a lot of the power white, like Caucasian power moves happening in the States with Hispanics and then Black women. And they're trying to just retain power. And then with women in general, Asian Americans, how they use them for their own power moves. I might do one on Indian Americans because they're using y'all too. Um, and also, and I did one on Black women and Black men. And I remember I didn't go too deep into Black men. I just said you need to know what they're using you for. And then when it comes to Black women, we are gaining our own power through withdrawing from their system and being entrepreneurship, getting our knowledge up, getting our spiritual gifts and abilities up. That's how we're exiting their system. And they're trying like hard with anti-DEI efforts to try to take it away from us. Because like I said, Letitia James and Fannie Willis are examples. Even Omarosa are examples of Black women in power who can take down like the white supremacy. They know that, so they're trying to attack us. They're taking anything to like give us money to fund our businesses, like anything. Now it's not going to work. It's just the moves they're making against us. So once you know the moves they're making, you can battle against it. And I remember on the last video I did, if you want to look back, I mentioned, well, Black men, they're different. They're a different being, but they do have a lot of value. I mentioned that they harvest Black men in America for their entertainment. Sorry, for their entertainment value. So their power. So the way that they're harvested is the entertainment. And if there's one thing Black American men specifically, not African, not Caribbean, Black American men and women do is our cultural, social, intellectual influence on the world. We talk about things others either are scared to talk about, don't have the guts to talk about, or just don't have the level of discernment to even see that it needs to be spoken about. Our levels of analysis. I mean, we've been running. The only reason we've gotten America to be better people is because our intellectual prowess is better than theirs, right? Like, we can articulate, communicate, understand, and analyze in ways that just can't, right? So, really tearing down these Caucasian supremacy narratives. So that's the Black American influence. And with men, I remember I mentioned this a lot in that video when I was talking about, Caucasian power moves against black people, and I separated black men and black women. So they're going after us through our businesses and our education. Like men, they've sort of just had this power, this just very weakened power. But black men are their cultural relevance. They're never going to get rid of black men because they need escape. These men are not doing too well. Caucasian men and they're not doing well at all. And so that escape that black hip hop culture gives, that escape that the NBA players give, that escape that that black American men give them, that swagger that they don't have. My ex is a white guy. I don't go to them. You don't go to them for swag, right? And like that charisma, right? They just don't really have it like that. And we have that in spades just as a black people, men and women. Confidence on days. They go to black men for that. And so the Kendrick Lamar, at first I was like, this is real big. And it took me a moment to digest everything going in. And at first I'm like, I don't trust when things get this big because it's an energy harvest. But I realized what was happening. And I love the fact that it was a West Coast black person, because I'm a West Coast black. And I'm going to go into how the reason this happened is because of West Coast black people like me, because we're so militant. But what just happened in general was a global shift in power, and it's up to black men if they're going to wield it or not. They've always had it. They've always known they've had it. They never wielded it. And that's why I love the fact that it was a Kendrick Lamar, because it wasn't that Drake is. So the Kendrick Lamar and the Drake diss was amazing. I mean, I can't go into that. If you guys haven't been listening, I just would like to say I didn't know that I was the world's greatest hater either until I heard Euphoria. I was like, but so the Kendrick, so I don't want to go into the beef. You can look up the beef. Everyone's talking about the beef and the diss tracks, and it's going back and forth. But what happened was that someone from the West Coast, and West Coast blacks are militant. Like if you look at my videos, I'm like, black men, black women, we're separatists, we're militant, right? Like we are. Like I might have a Valley Girl accent, but I will tell you this is for black women, black people only, and you can leave. Like we are so aggressive like that, like that's just part of it. I think sometimes when we're on social media and we see Black American influence, I don't know exactly who's from the West or not, but like when we are here, we have boundaries, we gatekeep. And that's basically what the shift of power is. And Kendrick Lamar just said, we are the culture. Black men run this hip hop industry that you guys are going crazy and nuts over. It's ours. And we're going to start putting lines in and say, you can't say the N-word anymore. You can't say this anymore. What are you trying to do it? You're a guest. Vlad and that Morgan Jenkins was an example of it. It was, you're a guest. Act like it. You are not us. Stop speaking on us like you know it the way we know it. We are us. We know. There are levels to this you will never understand. It's just like when you see chefs trying to cook Indian food, but you'll never be as good as the woman who's been, as the Indian woman who's been cooking it her whole life. You can try. You can't reach that. There's levels to this. There's energy to it. And this is the first time that they're like, they were outwardly saying, like, little people been saying it, but this is the first time in that mass appeal with such strength. He has so much. Ooh, even me. He just has such, it's just like his lyrics are just so, I don't want to say too much about it. I don't want to make him a target. Let's just say there's more than meets the eyes to what he can do. And it's so powerful, even I can feel it and have to respond. When that man says, say O-B-O-Ho, you're like, I got to say O-B-Ho. Like, I have to say it. No, like, it's just such a powerful stance he took. But I love the fact that it was a West Coast black, because at the end of the day, I find, and this is just a cultural thing, because I live on the East Coast now. I would go to conferences when I was in college with my West Coast LA friends, and we'd go places and there'd be people not black at a black conference. And we're like, what are you doing here? Like, because on the West Coast, black people had freedom to be free. We all making money. We all have jobs. We were the entertainment. So West Coast black culture is different and very distinct. I do think we're a little bit happier than others. We had freedom. We didn't have all that segregation. We didn't have all that, we didn't have all those strict social codes when it comes to white America. Out West, you can get jobs, you can make money, you can go to school. So we really weren't as impeded as I think people in maybe the East Coast and the Northeast were when it comes to upward mobility. And not just that, we are fun out there. So you would come to our parties. We're not going to yours. So black people as a culture, we're really separate. We're like, why are you here? Like, get out of our spaces. And it's very different when I go back east because they do it, but not. It's just not the same because we're like aggressive about it. And so, and I was mentioning, like, you haven't seen any fake rappers or people who are doing folk music and now doing rap. You're not going to see that come up on a West Coast, like out of Compton. Like, you got to be real. And it's not that we will never accept you. I remember when Eminem came, like, I think he's one of the best rappers, shoot, ever. And we accepted him, but not quickly. We bet. So the West Coast were more militant. There's a reason the Black Panther movement happened on the West Coast. It's a freer, different energy. It's like the freest energy you have, both as a white American or Black American in this country. With that much freedom, that's why when you're on the West Coast, that's why when like hippies and liberals protest, it's always the hardest protest, right? New Yorkers could give us a run for the money too, but like it's just the freedom. When you have that freedom, you take it. And so West Coast Blacks are like, keep it separate. You're not going to see things just come up over there because we will ask that. And I remember my East Coast friends thought I was rude, and I'm just being West Coast Black. Like, that's just how we are. Like, who are you? This is for Black people only. And if you've been following me, I'm so clear about who I service. Like, even on my real estate platform, I'm like, I help Black women and Black professionals. Like, we are just so aggressive about that. And we're very clear about our boundaries. And we do gatekeep, and we do it a lot. And it's very casual, but it is like in the South and in the Northeast, especially the South, I feel like they just let anyone in, regardless of what they're doing, and let them put on that fake Black face for the cameras because they have validation issues. But I will say, I'll have a little compassion. The level of subjugation, maybe they do think of these people as their savior. On the West Coast, you're not my savior. We both work, and I make more money than you. Like, what? Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, we're different out there, and we're gonna stay different. So what I loved about it, like, you're not gonna see any fake rappers come out. So you had a militant. Now, he's not called a militant, right? It's just Black people from the West Coast are. We have boundaries. I don't know, like, we're just real firm about that. It's real different than I've noticed when I come out to the South or Northeast, and I live in the Southeast in the DC area. I'm moving there now. So what it was cool. So it took a Kendrick to do this. It took someone like when I went to this Black conference, like, what are you doing here? Like, what are you who's Black in your family? Okay. And I remember someone trying to come to like a Black only like student mixer because we had some benefits as a minority. And I was questioning, like, we were just like questioning, like, what are you doing here? Like we don't play that. So I just wanted to give you guys just a little bit of that is that undercurrent that most people aren't aware of, how different West Coast Black and we're just different. Most people just aren't aware. So it makes sense that it would be a Kendrick, but it could have been another West Coast rapper too. So what this was it was the first salvo, and Black men could choose to take it or not. But it's finally saying, no, let's gatekeep. It's ours. They're propping off of us, which we've all known and we've all talked about. But this is the one that really got it to what I would say is the lowest common denominator. The Judases that always lets them in. The Judas that invites a Caucasian girl, does one dance step half right, and they're like, you're invited to the barbecue. This was the first time it got through to what I say are the people, I don't know. The hip hop culture, I think they got it to the people who are the most likely to let in the enemy. Okay? And this is the first time they've been reached, and they just have to go, like, either you take this power or not. Either you go, you need to come on our show, or DJ Vlad, you're a guest, or you don't. Right? But in taking that power and in gatekeeping, saying you can't say the N-word and standing strong by it, you're taking your power. And the reason I put that other part is I think they're going to wield it. I think this will be a slow thing. They are the ones who have been the biggest with letting any white person come in to the Black community and do whatever they want and say whatever they want. Any white woman come in, marrying them, just not having any boundaries, letting people who used to be folk rappers now be like all tatted up and give them any credibility. They've been the ones that let this in. So I think they're going to try to wield it, but who knows? But this is definitely a global shift in that power structure that's taking place. You know, Caucasian people have a lot of karma that's coming due. It's due. You see it. They've been talking about the shift in power globally, in America mostly. It's due. It's spiritual. You can't do anything about it. What you should have done, though, is just make sure. You've been atoning for that racism. You've been atoning for that supremacy that you've been acting on or being privileged in. You know, that's what you need to do. Just make amends for that stuff in your past, or recognize and be an ally now. So this was such an amazing thing. Sometimes, like, I don't get like a foreseeing of this. I just know there's power shift, and then I can see the shift in power, and I tell you guys, because once you know what your power is, you can wield it. Mine is my spiritual gift. You can't take that from me. You can try to dilute it, but I know my powers and you don't. This one, for Black men, it's given to you. This is your power. You can tell people yes or no. You can say they can say the N-word or not. You can tell them they're invited or not. You can tell them they're a guest and to act like it. Okay? You can say all of that. And we'll just see with this messenger and the way the messenger came in, will they finally take that power back? Of course, I hope they do. But we'll see if they're able to get through. And I'm really coming from a spiritual lens, because I talk about these power moves just because there's so much going on at a high level that are being behind the scenes in this industry, and coming down is a very interesting part of this truth, karmic revelations that are happening. You've seen it. You've seen the karma, right? You've seen it, and you've seen it over and over again. So this is sort of part of that. And with this karma retribution from the spiritual aspect of things, people who have their rightful place are able to take their rightful place. So I loved it as a West Coast Black person who loves our unique sound and beat. Oh my God, I don't even like rap, but like, you grew up with, like, we had the privilege of growing up with Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. I actually love Eazy-E because he's a really funny rapper. I think Snoop Dogg is really funny too, so I love funny rappers. So we had the privilege of coming up with some of the best West Coast sounds. I love that there was a hyphy beat, because I started shaking my dreads as soon as I heard it. And I love that it's Kendrick with his unapologetic, like, who the F are you to come in here? No one invited you, and I'm going to escort you out. And I just wanted to bring that West Coast perspective that most people aren't aware of, because they just haven't been out there like that. But, you know, I've lived all over the country. I lived in the Midwest, visited the South. I can't stand it, so I'll never live there. I live in the Southeast, and I spend time in the Northeast as well. And everywhere I go, I'm different, right? Having a Valley girl accent's not weird for Black women out on the West Coast, or not, because you go to Oakland, no one has that accent. My sister used to live there, so I used to visit Oakland, and my friends all live in California, so I used to be in the Inland Empire, which is like the San Bernardino, like away from the sea, but also visit Long Beach, because Vegas people would go to California for a lot of competitions. So whatever, West Coast. So it's just really funny seeing, it's just really cool seeing this West Coast hyphy, crip walking sound come on, go global, and have an unapologetic Black West Coast rapper. Because honestly, we're the only ones that do that. I don't think if you guys would have done it, I don't think it would have been done. You know what I mean? Like, y'all just don't have it in y'all culture to be separatists like that. But on the West Coast, we do. And so I love the fact that it was that, because it had to be him in order to sort of make that decisive, you're a guest, stay and act like it. Like, stay in your place. And if you don't stay in the place, this is what I love about West Coast Black people, including myself. And I do mine spiritually. If you don't listen, we will make you listen. All right? That's another thing about the West. We stand behind it all. Like, we have conversations for days. We don't just say it, but we check it. We bring everything we have to it, and that's what he did. So that's just a little West Coast Black culture that not everyone's aware of. I have to tone down some of who I am in order to navigate more successfully. So it's very, so like, I know exactly what I do out there that I can't do here, or that's weird, or that's a bit too much for people out here. But like I said, you sort of see it because I'm always like black, black, blackity, black, 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 and only black. And this is who it's for. It's not for you. You can leave. Like, we're just like that. So that's a little bit of the West Coast culture. Please love and respect us West Coast Black. We might be different, but like, because of that freedom, we've been able to empower ourselves to, I think, a very high degree. Because we didn't have all those strict, heavy chains of racism that you guys had to go through, which does take a toll after a while. So, you know, I'm not saying elevate those voices, but just know that we will bring that. And it is part of who we are. And there's a reason the Black Panther movement out of Oakland was just a very strong movement, right? Like, I mean, it's a movement everywhere, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that's it. That's my take. That's the spiritual shifting of power. We'll see if the people who generally just allow anyone in, anyone who has a beat in, which is the Black hip hop community, we'll see if they'll actually take it upon themselves and go, no, you will respect us, you'll recognize it's ours, and you'll act right, and we will gatekeep and start pushing back on this. Anybody can do it. And all you other people think you can talk on our issues, we're going to tell you to, you know, respectfully sit the F out and be a good guest. We'll see if they do it. I've been like that my whole life. So, I had to cool it down because they just thought I was a little rude when I came out east, and I was very firm about like boundaries, right? Because yeah, we're different out there. We don't seek them for anything, you know. And like I said, most of the times they seek us out for entertainment or for information or for, you know, the party. So, all right, guys, I hope this was helpful. Have fun. If you guys have not heard of the Kendrick Lamar and the Drake thing, because I've been talking to everybody in my social circle and none of y'all are paying attention. This is really actually pretty big, so I would pay attention to it. It's quite revolutionary, the shakeup that this was, because it was not just about Drake. It was about the industry. It's also about white males who are the ones who buy the rap, white males who push the rap industry, and someone saying this it's authentic face stuff just not going to go on anymore. And telling them exactly, you know, that we're going to put it into it. So let's see if they do it. I hope they do. I hope they take this power and start being a little bit gatekeeping. And we'll see how it goes. But enjoy the sounds. And I have to say, out of all the disses, Euphoria is my favorite. Even though I like Not Like Us is really cool as a bop. But man, Euphoria, like I said, I didn't know I was the world's biggest hater. My favorite part is like, oh, I'm the world's biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way you dress. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the world's greatest hater too. So that's my favorite part, but there's so many layers to it that I absolutely love. So have fun, enjoy. I'm going to do a workshop next month on retiring early and how everyone can do it. And no, you don't need a bunch of real estate, although I did do it with real estate. I did not need it, because I didn't use the real estate the way you think you did, and how anyone could actually retire early in the next 5 to 10 years if they want. And just go over it. And then at the end of the workshop, I'm going to go over everybody's individual situation, and we'll determine, go and set up a plan for each of you guys that can work. And yes, I bring my personal finance background, my real estate investing background, my own experiences in early retirement background, my experiences with being able to afford that and not necessarily needing a ton of money. I bring all of that, so I know I can help anyone who would like to come. I'll post about it later. Enjoy. Bye.